Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So what I have here is actually the RedMagic 8 Pro that was just launched here in Malaysia. I think this is actually genuinely one of the most affordable Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 devices that you can buy today, at least here in Malaysia. I mean, the first day's sale price of this guy is going for RM2899 and you get like 12GB of RAM, 256 storage, and I mean the price of Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 devices are just getting lower and lower and lower. So I mean, if you are trying to find the best value smartphone, I would advise you not to get a very expensive phone today because, you know, it's just going down. Anyways, we have two variants to this. I'm just checking the camera up there in case you're wondering. But this is a 12/256 like I mentioned, and you have the Void, which is a transparent back panel version, which gives you 16GB of RAM and 512GB of storage. So more RAM for that version, but this is actually pretty awesome. Now in today's video, this is going to be a full hands-on video where I'm going to go over a couple of points. I'll put them down on the timeline below so you can actually jump to any section that you want to see. Essentially, we'll cover the design. We'll also talk about something which I really want to share here, which is all about the performance. So we'll go into different games: PUBG, Mobile Legends, Genshin Impact. I'm also going to go into the Wangzhe, which is a China game, which is pretty popular as well, and we'll talk a bit about the benchmark. So all those details will be in the timelines below. You can just jump to those whenever you want to. Alright, let's begin. So first things first, we're gonna talk about that design, but before that, I forgot, I need to show you what came in the box. Everything that you see on the desk here is what came in the box. You have that 65-watt charger, you have a Type-C to Type-C cable, a red one here, which is actually pretty quick. And you also have this transparent casing, which really does minimal in terms of protection. Just in case you're wondering, this is how it looks like on the back of the RedMagic 8 Pro. Of course, it is transparent so you can look at that beautiful back design. But if you look at the sides here, it is completely not protected. So, I mean, if you really want to protect your phone, get something else. But this should offer minimal protection in terms of the sides and the corners. So like when you drop your phone on the ground, it's not going to be that bad. Alright, let's remove this for now and check out the design. So the design of this RedMagic 8 Pro is something that I really love. Like, take a look at this back panel, guys. It is a matte-ish back panel here, and it's unlike other back panels from other brands where they are very flashy, bling bling, you know. This matte black is completely black, very smooth, and there's barely any texture here, so it's super smooth and very nice to feel. Other than that, you do have a couple of, you know, like writings and logos at the back, which you don't really see it head on, but if you tilt it to the side, you will actually notice them at the back, which I think is very subtle, but also looking very stealth at the same time. What we have on the sides here is actually pretty interesting as well. We've got a pretty crowded side being led by this red button. Is a slider which basically activates the gaming mode, so everything will be turned up a dial. You also have shoulder triggers here, which of course is very important for a gaming smartphone. You have your lock button, you have gaps on the left as well as on the right, and this is basically because there is a fan in here that allows the air to pass through, so it's going to keep things cool. Other than that, on the left is actually pretty empty. You have your volume rocker, and if you move to the bottom, this is where you get your SIM card tray, you get a Type-C port, stereo speakers top and bottom, and you still have that headphone jack. So everything that you need is on the device. Now, just in terms of the frame, this is a very boxy device, and if I were to compare it to another phone, I would say that it looks kind of similar to the S23 Ultra. This is how they look like side by side. However, the S23 Ultra is a little bit more curved on the sides here, which makes it more comfortable to hold. But otherwise, both are very boxy devices, and overall, I just think that the design of the RedMagic 8 Pro is a very, very good looking phone. Right, let's move on to the next point and talk a bit about the display at the front, because this is a super cool display, guys. There is no selfie camera at the top because it's actually an in-display or under-display kind of selfie sensor. Naturally, you get this very nice, completely notchless display, which is awesome. I'm just going to show you a couple of photos, guys, so you have an idea of how they look like properly. So I'm just going to go into my albums here. I've got a ton of cool wallpapers that will really look awesome here. Check that out, guys. It looks like a flat screen TV if you look at it this way. Anyways, it is a 120Hz AMOLED display. You also have 960Hz in terms of that touch sampling rate. It just looks fantastic, guys. In terms of the resolution, it's not super high. I would say that it's approximately 400 ppi, so it's not as as sharp as like the S23 Ultra, but it's not even competing with that. So yeah, basically a very nice design here with minimal bezels. Look at the bezels, guys. It is actually very symmetrical all around. I think this is one of the best looking fronts of any smartphone to date. Alright, so like I said, I want to talk a bit more about the performance. So let's just jump into the 3D Mark, like benchmark test, so we can talk a bit more about that. I actually brought a couple of phones here so we can compare them side by side. Now I've got this iQOO 11, which is also running on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. I'm just going to turn that open and let's check out the wildlife stress test, guys. It's a huge night and day kind of result here. If you take a look at the RedMagic 8 Pro, the best loop score is 13.5K compared to just 9.8K on the iQOO 11. Not sure what's happening there, but what's most important here is the stability, guys. So what this stress test really does is that it runs like a couple of very graphic intensive stuff for multiple loops, and to show how stable they are, usually after many loops the graphics tend to be too hot and you will get throttle and all that, but not for the RedMagic 8 Pro. We have a stability of 99.6%, which is crazy high, and it's the highest I've seen so far. So basically no throttling at all on the RedMagic 8 Pro, whereas on the iQOO 11 we have a 73.3% stability, and the best loop score is not even that high. So yeah. Anyways, I also have here the OnePlus 11, which is always said to be fast and smooth, but I guess not this time round, guys. Look at that result. It is again another night and day. In terms of the best loop score, they are actually quite similar. We have 12.8K on the OnePlus 11 compared to 13.5K on the RedMagic 8 Pro, but stability wise, it's crazy, guys. It is again 99.6% versus 34.6% on the OnePlus 11. Huge difference there. Right, so anyways, that's just the benchmark scores. Let's jump into the games and see what kind of frame rate they actually support. Alright, so the first game that we are going to check out is actually PUBG. Now PUBG is definitely able to run 60 FPS here very smoothly. You can see that I do have my counter already turned on at the top, and it's actually been able to run 60 FPS for a very long period of time. So if you are going to be playing a lot of PUBG, I strongly suggest you check out this device. If you're wondering about the graphic settings, you can go into here and you see that we have HDR and extreme frame rate. If I go into UHD, it's not available yet. If I go into Ultra HD, I'll have to change that in the lobby, but I will not be able to get that extreme frame rate. So I'm just gonna walk around here. Lol. Someone's still running around. Alright, so we are now in Mobile Legends. So just to quickly show you in terms of the graphic settings, you can choose high refresh rate and ultra graphics. So we're going to go into a game real quick. Again, like I said, I've tried this game a couple of times yesterday. This is actually a game that I do play quite a lot, and 60 FPS wasn't an issue. Again, a very smooth experience, definitely flagship level if you ask me. We've got a lot of healers over here. Oh, missed that. Yeah, it's definitely a super smooth experience. Ooh. Okay, I'm dead. Alright, so here's another game that I spoke earlier on. This is actually the China version, the Chinese version of something similar to Mobile Legends. It's called like Wangzhe, and I actually brought up this particular game here because it is the only game that I was able to try here that runs at 120 FPS. So it's crazy fluid on this RedMagic 8 Pro. Again, the other games, it's not like they don't support 120 FPS. It's just basically the developers that haven't really optimized the games to run at that high frame rate. But I just thought that I should let you guys see this. 120 FPS does run here, so I tried it out yesterday. It's again like super duper fluid, guys. I mean, if all the games run at 120, it's going to be super fun. Alright, so last but not least, we have here Genshin Impact. I'm going to show you my graphics settings real quick. I've actually tried and get everything on the maximum. So if you just go into graphics, you can see that it's all higher, 60 frames per second. And that's basically the kind of frame rate that you'll be getting, 60 FPS. Occasionally it does drop to like 57 and 58. But again, it's hands down definitely one of the most stable, frame rate that I can get for any smartphone that runs on Genshin Impact at the moment. So yep, sorry about that little guy. Super smooth. In fact, I can actually hear the fan spinning here. Sorry, the fan is right here. The fan's actually spinning and I can hear the airflow actually going through. So this really helps out to keep the temperatures a little bit lower than what it would actually be without those fans. It's not like just for a gimmick and all that. So yep. So that's basically a very quick look at the kind of frame rates that you can expect for each of these games. Alright, so moving on, let's talk a little bit about the battery performance. So the battery here is a 6000 mAh unit. That means it's actually quite large. It lasts very long. It's one of the best batteries out there. And in terms of the charging speeds, like I said, we have that 65 watt charging, and it does like 92% in just 30 minutes, which again is super fast considering we have here a 6000 mAh battery. Now in terms of the cameras at the top, we have here a triple camera setup. This is being led by that 50 megapixel Samsung sensor. We have an 8 megapixel ultra wide and a 2 megapixel macro lens. I did test out that 50 megapixel main sensor and I was actually genuinely surprised because the performance was actually quite good. I'm going to show you a couple of photos here which you can see the colors, the sharpness, everything turned out pretty well. But again, this is just a very quick hands-on, not a full review. I'll be testing out more of those sensors in the coming days. Last but not least, what else should I mention here? You do have a couple of other stuff, which is like a dual X-axis linear haptic engine, which basically gives you those very nice, crisp kind of vibrations, which I think is awesome. The stereo speakers also sound really loud on this phone. And more importantly, I think I did not mention this earlier on, but we have this LED strip at the back, which is actually quite cool. You can use it as a notification LED. You can use it to activate whenever you are playing games. This thing can actually change a couple of patterns at the back here, and I think it looks pretty subtle again, but very cool. So yeah guys, that's pretty much it. A very quick hands-on with the RedMagic 8 Pro. If I were just to sum up my quick experience over these past few days, I would say that the hardware wise, it's a fantastic device. We have a great pricing as well. The only issue that I have been having with this phone is in terms of the software, which I think is a little bit buggy, and of course some of the translations don't really make a lot of sense. The way they translate the Chinese to the English menus looks a bit weird. And other than that, the Wi-Fi, I have a bit of a Wi-Fi issue on here as well. Like my Wi-Fi 6 wasn't really working on this phone. It could take the 2.4 gigahertz but not the 5 gigahertz, which I think was a bit weird. So I was stuck at that pretty low speed here. So maybe it's because it's a review unit, but hopefully in the retail set you won't face these kind of issues there. Alright, so that's pretty much it guys. Thank you for watching today's video. If you have any questions or if there are something that you want me to test out, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to drop a like and sub to the channel if you want to see more content like this, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Stay safe everybody. Bye!